So I told myself I wasn't even going to see this movie, I wasn't going to do a video on it, but then I really wanted to do a review because the old one is so good and so many people are seeing it, and I figured I better give it the benefit of the doubt, see it on a big screen, and well, now that I wasted those 2 hours of my life, I feel like I need to do a video. The Lion King is a masterpiece of animated storytelling released in 1994, and it's basically the perfect family movie. It's beautiful. The Lion King that just came out is a frightening visual effects experiment that doubles as the most lazy example of nostalgia bait I've ever seen. They watched the animated film and went, okay, what would change if everything was real? Real animals, real lighting, real nature, but the exact same script. Then, instead of realizing it would pretty much make everything worse, they hired Jon Favreau. I actually liked Jon Favreau. He's made some pretty good movies. He never does anything very experimental or interesting with the scripts he picked, but his movies are never a chore to watch. All of his films had this sense of simplicity to them that made all the characters a little more relatable. And even in The Jungle Book, which is a movie with a lot of talking animals like The Lion King, the lead character also portrays a human being. So take a moment and think, if you took out the relatable human characters from every Jon Favreau movie, what do they really have going for them? And I'm not ragging on Favreau, I just kind of hope he goes back to some simpler stories with more human character. Okay, great. I'm going to do my best to give you my thoughts on this movie without comparing it too much to the original, but it's really, really hard because basically the entire point of this movie, its entire existence, rides on everybody's emotional connection with the 1994 classic. So, that being said, the voice acting. As I said earlier, the movie went the route of making everything as realistic as possible without changing pretty much anything about the script. This meant that we still needed a talented cast of voice actors and singers to take us on this emotional journey. You know, brilliant actors like Seth Rogen and Beyonce. I know I'm getting snippy, but come on, if you're gonna keep a talented and iconic voice like James Earl Jones, why would you just replace everyone else with much less talented voice acting? You know, it must be really important to be able to market the faces of all these people, because when you think about it, the animals are pretty much all dull and emotionless, so how do you market that? And honestly, I don't think any of these actors did a good enough job to truly portray the emotions through the characters that they were playing. But that was mostly due to the animation, I think, because none of the animals had any emotion in those faces. It was definitely the most disconnect I've ever felt in a movie where voice actors are playing animated characters. It wasn't just the animation, too. I mean, Beyonce was absolutely horrible at all of her line delivery, but at least every character in the movie made me cringe once, so I'm not even kidding. Alright, let's move on. The music. The music of The Lion King is absolutely iconic, featuring an original soundtrack by Tim Rice and Elton John, and an amazing score by Hans Zimmer. I thought a lot of the score sounded very similar to the original, and it was pretty cool to hear that again. Not everything was how I remember it, some stuff sounded a little bit more loud, like the drums sounded a little louder, maybe a little more overproduced. I don't even know if that's the word for it, but I couldn't really complain about that. Most of my complaints fell on the soundtrack and the people singing. I had a lot of problems there. I personally do really like Beyonce. I think she's great. I think she has a great voice, but in this movie, I really didn't like her. I thought a lot of the choices she made to change up some of the songs just sounded really bad, and I think there was an original song by her in the movie, and it was super out of place. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty poor choice picking her for this film. Donald Glover was a lot better at voice acting than he was at singing these parts. I don't think he was a bad singer, but I don't think he fit the role. It didn't sound great to me. I thought it sounded a lot different and it fell flat. But that's just my personal opinion. I know there's a lot of people who are really digging this soundtrack right now, and I can't really harsh on that. It's not bad. It's just different, and the differences really didn't work for me. Seth Rogen really stuck out here too. The man cannot sing, so his version of Pumbaa singing was, well, it was kind of hilarious, but I don't think they were trying for it to be, so it was odd. The visuals. I was kind of saving this one because I feel like the movie has been getting most of its praise in this category. Why? The movie does look realistic in aspects, but it does not look good. When going for that realistic approach, the movie was basically stripped of everything that made it visually appealing. There's hardly any color, the lighting was god awful, even the camera work, which was all virtual, was super bland. And it was all created that way on purpose. People actually wanted it to look like this, and they worked really, really hard to do it. Beautiful sunrise to open our film from black to dazzling colors and wonders. Well, sunrises don't actually start on a pitch black night, so no, stop. Stop right there. Just stop making that movie and pick something else. Every iconic visual moment from The Lion King either doesn't happen or just looks bad. And the movie doesn't attempt at any original iconic moments, it just kind of coasts by until the credits start rolling. In conclusion, The Lion King is one of the weirdest things I have ever seen. It's super clear that a lot of people worked very, very hard to make something very, very lazy, and that baffles me. If I saw this movie and had absolutely no knowledge of the original, I'd probably tell you it looked okay, it had pretty good music, but pretty bad vocals, terrible voice acting, and an amazing story paced horribly. Putting it up to the original, though, I don't even know what to say. It's pretty laughable in comparison. I honestly don't even know what I would rate this one. My initial rating walking out of the theater was a 4, but the more I think about it and the more I dislike it, the more I want to give it a 3 out of 10. Don't waste your money on this one. Just watch the original at home with your family. It'll be way less money and a way better time. And maybe Disney will slowly start trying to pay people to come up with some new ideas. Probably not, but we can hope, right? But if you're already planning on going to the movies and now you're just like, but Gary, what do I see? Because I won't see that now. Well, I'll tell you. Spider-Man Far From Home was not quite as good to me as Homecoming, but it still wasn't bad, and Jake Gyllenhaal is always great. 6 out of 10. Midsommar is one of my favorite movies of the year so far. Super unsettling, beautifully filmed, and superbly acted. 9 out of 10. Crawl was really stupid fun, and it didn't take itself seriously at all. It was decently paced and short. It was a good summer thriller. I give it like a low 6 out of 10. The Farewell was another favorite of mine this year, a beautifully personal script with a perfect cast and great music. The Art of Self-Defense really got me for some reason. The script was clever and hilarious, and the story was super engaging. 8 out of 10. I still haven't seen every single movie in theaters, but there are a few more options, and that's just the only point I'm trying to make here. Support original ideas, and more original ideas will get funding. It's that simple. Do you have a favorite animated Disney classic, and has Disney remade it yet? If so, do you like the remake? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this one, and as always, keep watching movies.